Hey, Terry Franks here. Welcome back to my channel, Prescott Voice. There is a certain heartbreaking reality that's going on, and that's the exploitation of Gazan children by Hamas. In my past videos exposing the atrocities committed by Hamas, especially the horrific events of October 7th, 2023, I have been bombarded with hateful comments from those who support Palestinians and harbor a deep-seated hatred for the Jews. They accuse Israel of murdering Palestinian children, but the true perpetrators of this tragedy are not the ones defending their land, Israel. It's not their fault. It's Hamas with Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind behind this brutality, who bears the responsibility. Recently elevated as the leader of Hamas after the well-deserved elimination of Ismail Haniyeh, Sinwar's hands are drenched in the blood of the very people he claims to protect. War is indeed hell, and it was Hamas who unleashed this hell upon its own people. But what those who lament the deaths of children in Gaza fail to confront is the chilling truth. It is Hamas who is transforming these innocent lives into martyrs. They are training vulnerable children to die, all under the pretense of serving Allah, with the sinister aim of erasing Israel and the Jewish people from existence, all in pursuit of their ultimate dream vision of an Islamic state. So let's pull back the curtain, shall we? Just a bit, and take a look at what reality is for most Gazan children under the control of Sinwar and the evil Hamas organization. But before we do, note that what I'm about to say is widely reported in Israeli newspapers and on numerous videos. In the heart of Gaza, there's a tragic reality that many just completely ignore, where the innocence of childhood is stolen and replaced by the horrors of war. It is something we can hardly imagine happening in the United States, yet you have thousands of anti-Israel, anti-Semitic people in the U.S., lemmings without a brain in their head, flooding our streets with their anti-Semitic hatred, destroying property, burning flags, and damaging monuments, and actually beating people up, including police, all in support of the brutal terror group Hamas and Hezbollah, and by extension, Iran. The manipulation and exploitation of Gazan children by Hamas is a heartbreaking testament to the lengths to which this organization will go to achieve its objectives. In nature, the bond between a mother and her child is one of the strongest and most sacred, even in the animal kingdom. Wouldn't you say? I know it is for me. My daughter and my grandchildren are the most precious things on earth to me. The maternal instinct, a universal force of protection and love, or at least it should be, is tragically perverted in Gaza. Thousands of young boys are recruited by Hamas, thrust into training camps, and prepared for combat against the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF. These camps are not places of growth and education, but are instead designed to turn children into little terrorist soldiers.
Summer camps usually focus on fun through swimming, sports, and fellowship. In the Gaza Strip, however, Hamas and Islamic Jihad use them to instill a dangerous message. Leaders labeled these gatherings the Summer of Liberation.
We did not come here to enjoy ourselves or to play or anything like that. We came with our souls, our blood, our martyrs, and are wounded to sacrifice ourselves for Palestine and for our people.
This promotional video urged students of all grade levels, from primary through college, to participate. Activities included target practice involving AK-47s, anti-tank weapons, and video simulations.
So that in the next phase, Allah willing, these boys will be able to confront the plundering enemy and disfigure its face in the next war.
In May of 2021, Hamas and other Islamic groups used the name the Sword of Jerusalem, when describing that year's 11-day war with Israel. Their goal? Prepare the coming generation for the next war.
We say to the enemy, these children picked up these weapons, and we train them how to use them, as well as how to take security measures, so that they will follow in the footsteps of their fathers and take up arms, Allah willing.
These young men and boys learn anti-Semitism at an early age.
We asked Hitler why he left some of you alive. He did so in order to show us how wicked you are. We will come to you from under the ground and hammer fear into your hearts, and above the ground we will tear your bodies apart with our rockets. Scram into the shelters, you mice, you sons of Jewish women.
When viewing the footage of the summer camp side by side with the attacks from October 7th, it's sobering evidence of how that training became reality, with the devastating results: 1,200 Israelis murdered and 240 kidnapped.
Let me show you a document, a highly confidential, strictly confidential document, which we just unraveled from the Hamas headquarters. It's a brochure, which is a directive by the commanders of Hamas as to how to manage summer camps for children in order to disseminate the values of jihad. It says it clearly, to disseminate the values of jihad and the values of the resistance, meaning terror, and how to make it a militarized society. And it's all over the Gaza Strip, meaning they take the kids. Whilst we all know what summer camps are and what they're aimed for, and what a wonderful experience it is to enable youngsters, kids and adults, adolescents, to become citizens of the free world with liberties, with happiness, with joy, with sports. Here, the entire aim is to make them terrorists.
Even more disturbing is the inversion of the maternal role in Gaza. Some mothers, instead of protecting their children, support the recruitment of their sons into these camps. Traditionally, a mother's role is to nurture and safeguard her child, a bond that begins long before birth, yes, in pregnancy. But in Gaza, this role is tragically reversed, with mothers expressing pride in sending their children to die, and for a cause rooted in hatred and terror. I mean, it's just, I can't even think with it. Fathers play a role in this tragic cycle, often endorsing or even encouraging this fatal sacrifice. Knowing the likely outcome, they send their sons to fight, their lives reduced to mere pawns in a larger game. Hamas exploits this indifference, using these young recruits to bolster its ranks and to gain propaganda victories, whether the children survive to fight another day or die as martyrs. Now, many of them are replacing all of those killed by the Israeli forces during this war, so they're using these kids. When will the global community recognize this exploitation for what is truly a profound human catastrophe? The willingness of some Gazan parents to offer their children as sacrifices in an unwinnable war against Israel is a moral crisis that really demands worldwide condemnation. The use of children in armed conflict is disturbing and heartbreaking, and it cries out for an end. But will it ever truly end? The tragic truth is that this cycle of violence is fueled by an ancient and supernatural hatred, one that has burned for more than 4,000 years and won't end until Jesus returns. I don't know about you, but I can't wait for that day. In Gaza, young lives continue to be recruited and sent to die, and the cycle of violence and tragedy continues unchecked. Given the hatred for the Jews around the globe today, I doubt the world will ever stand united in recognizing and condemning this unimaginable exploitation. So countless young lives will continue to be lost and their families torn apart. Are we going to remain silent in the face of such abhorrent evil? Just bury our heads and pretend it's not happening? In the U.S., I guess that's what we're doing. With Sinwar now the top dog, and I mean that in every sense of the word. He's a dog. So there's little hope for Gaza's innocent ones. Enough already with sending me the comments about, Terry, you support the murder of thousands of children by the Israelis. I don't support any death of any child. But let's face it, Israel is at war with an enemy that threatens them, that threatens to annihilate them. And it's not just Hamas. Of course, Iran is at the tip of the spear there. And all those proxies that it manipulates to attack Israel. I don't want the death of anyone. I think it's tragic, the entire thing. But, you know, hey, who started this thing? Hamas marched right in on October 7th and brutally murdered, beheaded, burned, shot, killed, raped so many Israelis. What did you expect them to do? They're taking care of business. And they're taking out the leadership. Way to go. The leadership of Hamas. They need to go. They are evil beyond evil. And so many wishy-washy Americans, especially Christians, that are, I'm learning, that are anti-Zionist, which means they're anti-Semitic. Jew haters. Do they know what they're doing? Do they know what the Bible says about all this? And you know who's the winner of all that? Hamas. Yeah. They win when we don't stand up. Just go to Dietrich Bonhoeffer's book. Read that. Read what he went through in World War II. We have got a problem here in the United States. And it's not going to be long before the U.S., especially if Kamala Harris gets in, she is not one that's going to support Israel. No. She's already got these Muslim people that are coming up to her at rallies saying, hey, we're not going to support you unless you agree to an arms embargo against Israel. And of course, in order to placate them, she said, oh yeah, sure, I'll consider it. She is about as dumb as a box of rocks. Anybody who votes for her, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I guess they're just blinded. I mean, I'm not saying that Trump is going to be the best either. I have never believed that any politician is the answer to this world's woes, especially in the U.S. It just keeps getting worse and worse. And that's what Jesus said, things would get worse. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and I will continue to record these videos and bring you what really moves me. And I'm going to be bold about it. As always, thank you for watching.